U.S. right-wing activist shot dead during event in Utah University. Deadly Israeli airstrikes killed 35 in Sana'a. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Mohana Priya and you're watching World Today. US right-wing activist and commentator Charlie Kirk, an influential ally of President Donald Trump, was fatally shot in the neck on Wednesday at an event at a Utah university. A university spokesperson said police did not have a suspect after the school initially reported that someone had been taken into custody. Cell phone video clips of the incident circulating on social media showed Kirk addressing a large outdoor crowd at the campus in Orem, Utah, when a loud crack that sounded like a gunshot rang out. Kirk moved his hand towards his neck as he fell off his chair, sending the attendees running. The authenticity of the videos have yet to be confirmed. According to Attorney General Pam Bondi, agents from the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives were on the scene. Kirk and the group he co-founded, Turning Point USA, the largest conservative youth organization in the country, played a key role in driving young voter support for Trump in November. His events at college campuses nationwide typically draws large crowds. The UN's health agency said Wednesday its workers will remain in Gaza City despite calls from Israel's military for people to flee an assault it is mounting there. Israel's army is intensifying its attacks on Gaza City, the main urban center in the besieged Gaza Strip, with the goal of seizing the city. The UN estimates that around 1 million Palestinians live in and around Gaza City. The head of the UN agency, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, on X said the WHO is appalled by the latest evacuation order. He said the Israeli demand that the city's 1 million people go to what Israel was calling a humanitarian zone in the south of the Gaza Strip was unfeasible. Tedros pointed out that half of the functioning hospitals left in the Gaza Strip were in Gaza City, and the territory's crippled health system cannot afford to lose any of these remaining facilities. He urged the international community to act, saying that the catastrophe in Gaza is human-made. Israel has been waging offensive operations in Gaza and killed more than 64,000 Palestinians, most of them civilians. Canada is evaluating its relationship with Israel after the attack on Hamas leaders in Qatar. Its Foreign Minister Anita Anand on Wednesday expressed unhappiness with the Israeli government, emphasizing that Canada considered the attack to be unacceptable given Qatari attempts to facilitate peace in the West Asia region. Anand made her comments when asked whether Canada might follow the lead of the European Commission, which said it would propose the suspension of trade-related measures in a European Union agreement with Israel. Canada has noticeably hardened its line on Israel under Prime Minister Mark Carney, who replaced Justin Trudeau in March. Carney announced in July that Canada would recognize Palestinian statehood, angering Israel. Trudeau was generally supportive of Israel's campaign against Hamas, while occasionally criticizing actions of the Israeli military. Carney earlier condemned the Israeli airstrike, calling it an intolerable expansion of violence that risked escalating conflict throughout the region. He said last month that Israel's plan to take control of Gaza City was wrong. Israeli airstrikes on Houthi-held Yemen killed 35 people and wounded more than 130 on Wednesday, days after their prime minister and half the cabinet died in a major attack. The Houthi armed forces' media operation in Sana'a was hit in the attacks, along with the Houthi complex in Jauf province. Israel has launched repeated attacks on Houthi targets during the Gaza war as the Iran-backed rebels fire missiles and drones at Israel and Red Sea shipping as acts of solidarity with the Palestinians. Houthi Health Ministry spokesman Anis Al-Asbahi posted on X that 35 people died and 131 were wounded, adding that it was not a final toll. The toll included 28 dead and 113 wounded in Sana'a and 7 dead and 18 wounded in Jauf, which borders Saudi Arabia. The Houthis' Prime Minister Ahmad Ghalib Nasir al-Rahawi, 9 ministers and 2 cabinet officials were killed as they attended a government meeting in the Sana'a area last month. The killings were the most high-profile assassinations of Houthi officials during nearly 2 years of hostilities with Israel over the Gaza war. France's new Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu promised a profound break with the past on Wednesday. Lecornu's first day on the job coincided with street protests across France in a show of grassroots opposition to President Emmanuel Macron, which resulted in clashes with police. But the protests, which gathered steam on social media under the Block Everything slogan, had an uneven impact across the country. Altogether, some 197,000 demonstrators took to the streets, while the some 80,000 officers sent in to control them made around 540 arrests, with 415 people taken into police custody. The president appointed Lecornu his close Macron ally and defense minister for the past 3 years, late on Tuesday, only 24 hours after his predecessor, François Bayrou, lost a confidence vote in parliament. Taking over from 74-year-old Bayrou, Lecornu, 39, promised to find more creative ways to work with opposition parties. Lecornu, the 7th Prime Minister since Macron took office in 2017 and the 3rd inside a year, faces the urgent challenge of giving France a budget for 2026 without suffering the same fate as Bayrou, who lasted just 9 months. Thousands of Tunisians flocked to the Sidi Bou Said beach near Tunis on Wednesday to back the global Summit Flotilla, a convoy of boats carrying international activists set sail towards Gaza. The flotilla will attempt to sail towards the Strip in a major gesture of solidarity with Palestinians and an effort to challenge Israel's blockade of the enclave. The Global Summit Flotilla, an international aid initiative to deliver vital supplies to Gaza, was scheduled to sail on Wednesday after 2 drone attacks targeted key ships in the convoy over the past 2 nights, which organizers described as deliberate attempts by Israel to disrupt this mission. The fleet has support from delegations from 44 countries, and among the activists are Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, Portuguese left-wing politician Mariana Mortágua, and Nelson Mandela's grandson. The thousands of supporters gathered while waving Palestinian flags and chanting slogans calling for freedom for Gaza and denouncing Israel and the U.S. According to Gaza's health ministry, Israel's military assault has killed over 64,000 Palestinians, while a global hunger monitor said part of the enclave is suffering from famine. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha on Wednesday called for a strong international response after Russian drones flew into Poland during an attack on Ukraine. Sybiha said the act was putting mockery of all peace plans proposals, primarily from the American side. Poland shot down suspected Russian drones in its airspace on Wednesday with the backing of military aircraft from its NATO allies. The first time a member of the Western military alliance is known to have fired shots during Russia's war in Ukraine. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk told Parliament it was the closest Poland has been to open conflict since World War II, although he also said he had no reason to believe the country was on the brink of war. Moscow denied responsibility for the incident, with a senior diplomat in Poland saying that the drones had come from the direction of Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry said its drones had carried out a major attack on military facilities in western Ukraine, but it had not planned to hit any targets in Poland. The leaders of France, Britain, Germany and Canada are among NATO leaders to condemn the Russian incursion in strong terms. NASA has begun barring Chinese nationals with valid visas from joining its programs, underscoring the intensifying space race between the rival powers. According to Bloomberg, Chinese nationals had previously been allowed to work as contractors or students contributing to research, although not as staff. The move comes amid escalating anti-China rhetoric under President Donald Trump's administration. The U.S. and China are competing to send crews to the moon. The U.S. Artemis program, a follow-up to the Apollo landings from 1969 to 1972, is targeting a 2027 landing, but has suffered cost overruns and delays. China, by contrast, aims to land its taikonauts by 2030 under its program and has recently been more successful at meeting deadlines. China is also seeking to become the first country to return a sample from the Martian surface, with a robotic mission slated to launch in 2028 and bring rocks back as soon as 2031. The Trump administration, meanwhile, has signaled through its budget proposal that it wants to cancel a planned Mars sample return mission, a joint project with the European Space Agency. It has hinted that the job could instead be accomplished by a crewed mission, although no firm details have been provided. Still to come, truck explosion kills 3 and wounds dozens of others. Stay with us.
Peralatan elektrik 5 bintang memberikan penjimatan 5 bintang.
Welcome back. A petrol truck explosion triggered a massive fire on a highway in southeast Mexico City on Wednesday, killing at least 3 and injuring another 57 people, including some with severe burns. According to city authorities, the incident occurred when the gas truck overturned and exploded on a highway near the border between Iztapalapa municipality and Chalco at the edge of Mexico State. Mexico City Mayor Clara Brugada reported that 19 of the injured sustained serious second and third degree burns, while the remaining victims suffered less severe injuries. No fatalities have been reported.
A partir de la volcadura hubo un impacto de explosiones que generaron una onda expansiva que tuvo como resultado 57 personas lesionadas y trasladadas a diferentes hospitales. Este lamentable accidente también ha implicado la participación de 18 vehículos afectados. 19 de las personas que fueron trasladadas a los hospitales están graves.
Mexico City firefighters said they had completely extinguished the flames in and around the overturned trailer. The cause of the truck accident remains under investigation. Cuba's national power grid collapsed for the 4th time in less than a year on Wednesday morning, causing a nationwide blackout. The communist country's energy ministry and National Electric Union said there has been a total disconnection of the electric system. The grid operator said the grid collapsed at 9:14 a.m. on the Caribbean island. The ministry said causes are being investigated and the restoration process has already begun. Even before Wednesday's grid collapse, which left 10 million residents without power, many across the island had already been experiencing daily blackouts of 16 hours or more. The grid failure follows a string of nationwide blackouts since late last year that plunged Cuba's frail and antiquated power generation system into near total disarray. The country has also been facing fuel, food and other shortages amid its worst economic crisis in decades. Cuba's oil-fired power plants, already obsolete and struggling to keep the lights on, reached a full crisis last year as oil imports from Venezuela, Russia and Mexico dwindled. Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Luiz Fux on Wednesday acquitted former President Jair Bolsonaro of an alleged coup attempt and annulled his trial over jurisdiction. The High Court still seems likely to convict Bolsonaro of plotting a coup to remain in power after he was voted out of office in 2022. Two judges on the 5-judge panel already voted to convict, and the remaining two were appointed by leftist President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who defeated Bolsonaro in the 2022 election. Fox voted to acquit Bolsonaro of all the crimes Bolsonaro had been charged with by the Office of Brazil's Prosecutor General. The former president stands accused of taking part in an armed criminal organization, attempting to violently abolish democracy, organizing a coup, and damaging government property and protected cultural assets. The charges are tied to Bolsonaro's alleged incitement of riots in January 2023, when thousands of his supporters stormed and ransacked the Congress, Presidential Palace, and Supreme Court in Brasilia. His lawyers have maintained his innocence on all counts and argued that his trial involved several procedural mistakes. The justice agreed on Wednesday with several of the defense's arguments. In his vote during the trial's final deliberations, Fox said that the case should have been heard by lower courts because Bolsonaro had left office. Mexico, under pressure not to serve as a backdoor for Chinese goods entering the U.S., has proposed a 50% duty on car imports from the Asian giant. The initiative, contained in a bill submitted by the government to Congress, seeks to assuage Trump, who has repeatedly urged trading partners to increase duties on China, while also bolstering Mexico's industrial sector. The White House accused Chinese producers are abusing a free trade deal between the U.S., Mexico and Canada to send goods northward over the Mexican border tariff-free. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has also complained of the impact of Chinese imports on domestic manufacturing, and the bill says that the increased tariff will seek to protect 19 industrial sectors considered strategic. It also proposes raising tariffs on other countries with which Mexico has no trade agreement. Mexico replaced China in 2023 as the U.S. largest trading partner, with the Latin American country's northern neighbor buying more than 80% of its exports. It sends nearly 3 million automobiles to the U.S. a year, including cars and trucks assembled by U.S. auto companies in Mexico. South Korea is working with the U.S. authorities to bring home hundreds of Korean workers detained in an immigration raid in the state of Georgia. However, Seoul's foreign ministry said it will be difficult to fly them back on Wednesday. A chartered plane carrying the workers was due to depart for South Korea from Atlanta, but a spokesperson for the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport was quoted as saying that the flight had been cancelled. About 300 South Koreans were arrested last week, along with 175 others at the site of the $4.3 billion Hyundai Motor and LG Energy Solution project to build batteries for electric cars in Georgia. The raid, which is the largest single-site enforcement operation on the history of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's investigative operations, sent shockwaves through South Korea, a U.S. ally that had been trying to finalize a trade deal agreed with Washington in July. In addition to being a key U.S. security ally, South Korea is Asia's fourth biggest economy and a major automaker and electronics producer, and its companies have multiple plants in the United States. Ghana has agreed to accept West African nationals deported from the U.S., and 14 have already arrived in the country. U.S. President Donald Trump has taken a hardline approach towards immigration, aiming to deport millions of immigrants in the U.S. illegally and ramp up removals to third countries. President John Dramani Mahama did not specify a cap on how many migrants Ghana would accept. He justified the decision by saying West Africans don't need a visa to travel to Ghana.
One of them was a Gambian who it's not as easy. You have to get him an air ticket to be able to facilitate his travel. So what we've done is contacted their embassy to let them know of his presence so that they can facilitate his return to Gambia. And so that's the issue with regards to deportations and arrivals. West Africa has the protocol of free movement. And so any West African is free to come to Ghana and be able to stay for 90 days. And so if they decide to bring them, I mean, we don't have a problem accepting them.
Rwanda received 7 migrants deported from the U.S. in August, weeks after reaching an agreement with Washington for the transfer up to 250 people. Mahama did not specify a cap on how many migrants Ghana would accept. He justified the decision by saying West Africans don't need a visa anyway to travel to Ghana. Militants killed 64 people in eastern Congo during 2 brutal attacks, including one on a funeral ceremony overnight on Monday. The deadliest assault took place in the rural village of Ntoyo in Lubero territory, where at least 46 people were killed at a funeral gathering. These coordinated strikes stand as some of the deadliest by the militants in recent months. Eugene Kavira Mwenge, mayor of the rural commune of Chika, said on Wednesday that the area had faced threats from militant attacks and nighttime burglaries since early August. In response, authorities have implemented additional security measures to protect populated areas and prevent similar incidents. The group, which started as a Ugandan rebel group but has operated from Congo since the late 1990s. They had intensified attacks in the mineral-rich eastern region, exacerbating insecurity and challenging local and international efforts to stabilize the area. Coming up in sports, a bright start for Malaysia in Hong Kong Open. Stay tuned.
Liga Super Malaysia 2025. Pertembungan sengit terus membara. The Cats kali ini mengaum di laman sendiri bagi memburu 3 mata penuh di bumi Kenyalang. Berdepan gergasi merah dengan reputasi, tradisi dan kuasa yang digeruni. Ahad 21 September, Kuching City FC menentang Selangor FC. 4 petang di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM.
Starting off our sports segment, national men's singles shuttler Leong Junhao ended his losing streak to compatriot Lee Zijia in style at the Hong Kong Open last night. World number 23 Junhao, who had lost 3 times to Zijia, including at the 2023 Arctic Open, where they last met, marked his first ever win over the world number 47 with a 21-16, 21-16. Zijia began aggressively in the opening game with his trademark powerful smashes, but he fluffed his line by sending too many shots out to give Junhao a 21-16 win. Despite Zijia turning on the screw in the second game, Junhao managed to maintain the momentum and seal victory. Junhao's second-round opponent will be compatriot Justin Ho after dispatching Thomas Junior Popov of France. Justin ensured an all-Malaysian second-round clash with Junhao after a stunning win over the 8th-seeded Popov. The unseeded Justin produced an assured performance to dispose of the Frenchman 21-12, 21-17 in 43 minutes. Meanwhile, professional mixed doubles pair Go Soon Huat Chevlon Lai Jemmy will face fellow Malaysians Hu Pang Ron Cheng Su Yin in a battle for a place in the quarterfinals. 7th-seeded Soon Huat Chevlon bounced back from a game down to pack off Taiwanese pair Lin Bing Wei Lin Ji Hun 13-21, 23-21, 21-8 in 41 minutes. On the other hand, Pang Ron Su-yin took 24 minutes to breeze past Ukraine's Oleski Titov Yevhenisia Kantemir 21-14, 21-14. They will face Soon Huat Chevon in the second round, with both Malaysian pairs having a 1-1 head-to-head record. And moving on to hockey, the national team capitalized on their penalty corner superiority to thump Singapore 5-1 in the 5th to 8th classification match in the Women's Hockey Asia Cup at the Gongshu Canal Sports Park Stadium in Hangzhou, China. The Speedy Tigress scored all 5 goals through penalty corners, set pieces, with Khairunisa Ayuni, Mohammad Shahrudin and Dayang Numaira Abang Madani helping themselves to a brace each in the first half. Khairunisa Ayuni got the ball rolling in the 6th minute before Dayang Nuramira took over with a quick double in the 16th and 18th minutes. 2 minutes later, Khairunisa Ayuni notched her second to put the Speedy Tigress 4-0 up in the first half. After the break, Nuramira Shakira Zulkifli added her name to the score sheet in the 41st minute. As the Malaysian girls took their foot off the pedal when play resumed, Singapore capitalized on the situation to score a consolation goal in the 54th minute through Johanna Hajarith, also from a penalty corner set piece. Malaysia will take on Thailand tomorrow before ending the classification round with a match against Taiwan, with the top 2 finishers meeting in the 5th to 6th playoff on Sunday. German club Wolfsburg completed the signing of Danish midfielder Christian Eriksen on Wednesday. The 33-year-old joins the Bundesliga outfit until 2027, following the end of his contract at Manchester United during the off-season. Eriksen, Denmark's most capped player, has also enjoyed spells at Ajax, Tottenham Hotspur, Inter Milan and Brentford. With a market value of €4 million, Eriksen was among the most valuable free agents still available after the transfer window closed in Europe's major leagues. The move also means that the Danish international has followed his former Tottenham teammate Harry Kane to the Bundesliga. Wrexham had reportedly made an approach for Eriksen during the transfer window, though his agent confirmed the move would not happen. Eriksen plays with an implantable cardioverter defibrillator device, which was fitted after he had collapsed on the pitch during Denmark's opening match of their UEFA Euro 2020 campaign against Finland in Copenhagen in June 2021. And that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story today, U.S. right-wing activists shot dead during event in Utah University. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. for more news on TV1 and Saluran Berita RTM, or you can join us online on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. Thank you for your company.